There's something about Lucha, specifically old Lucha, that I've always been hesitant to touch until recently. Whilst Japanese wrestling is so easily accessible and well known, and even stuff like shoot style, bati bati, and Inokiism that don't get their just acclaim, for the most part still have their advocates, especially on my side of the internet. Whereas Lucha wasn't something that felt easy to get into. Even keeping up with modern day CMLL, which I thoroughly enjoy when I get a chance to definitely legally watch it, it feels very easy to quickly fall behind, and it's even more the case with older Lucha. The deep lore, the thousands of tag builds, the unfamiliar names, it seemed inaccessible. Like if you tried to watch a Marvel movie for the first time today. It wasn't until Chris O'Brien started his Learning Lucha series, specifically his video about MS1 versus Sangre Chicana, where my eyes were fully opened. I never heard of either name, but as I looked on, I realized Lucha is actually the easiest thing in the world to watch. The simplistic story structure is abundantly clear to any unfamiliar and is easy to get hooked on, whilst also having the space for nuance and interesting characters. The action is at times the most beautiful and the most disgusting things you have ever seen when done right, perfectly combining beautiful techniques, spectacular spectacle, and the very essence of two uncles 6 Coronas deep fighting in the backyard at a bonfire. The most important aspect of pro wrestling, of course. So naturally, of course, this has been my latest hyperfixation, especially since the Joseph Foncilio streams, going through the Atlantis Viano Tercero feud, and my particular poison has been one by the name of Negro Casas. So today I thought I'd indulge myself with a lovely bit of chicken soup for the wrestling soul.
I mean bones. To cut down on my silhouette, my favorite foods are smoke and hearts. My leftovers fret, forget stiletto, self-indebted, while my cracking backbone lacks but backs up my false starts. All nightmares start as dreams, and I hear my subconscious screaming. They say that beauty's just skin deep, so naturally, please show me your bones, bones, bones. Let me see your bones. Well, I don't wanna know if the feeling follows on. Bones, bones, bones. Hell, we're all alone. If I come home, baby, will you show your bones? Lumps in throats and petticoats, your baby teeth would pray for you. A selfish book is always open, and some of the best liars only want the truth. All love starts as a scheme, so wake me up, I'm tired of sleeping. They say that beauty's just skin deep, so obviously, please show me your bones, bones, bones. Let me see your bones. Well, I don't wanna know if the feeling follows on. Bones, bones, bones. Hell, we're all alone. If I come home, baby, will you show me your bones? Ooh. stardust dreams. All love starts as a scheme. Give me all your LSD so I can feel my mind unweave again. They say that beauty's just skin deep. So when it stands and rends the rancid meat from her bones, 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 let me see your bones. Well, I don't wanna know if the feeling follows home. Bones, 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 hell, we're all alone. If I come home, baby, will you show me your bones, bones, bones? I can see my bones. Well, I don't wanna know if the feeling follows home. Bones, 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 hell, we're all alone. If I come home, baby, will you show your
So, this is not the first Santito Casas match, but from what I can tell, and please send it my way if I'm wrong, this is the first one we still have available on tape. But it comes at the bitter end of a rivalry that spans back to their first match in 1984. And as is the case with most Lucha rivalries, it ends with an Apuesta, Mascara versus Caballera, in the Olympic Auditorium in Los Angeles, California, on the 18th of July, 1987. There's something wonderful about Lucha, specifically old Lucha, that is able to maintain this beautiful rhythm and flow that no other wrestling does, while simultaneously not sacrificing any of the resistance and grit required to make wrestling feel real. There's something so beautiful and simple about Casas' heel work here too. One arm drag and Casas is flung all the way to the outside, slamming into the barricade, making Santito look like a real-life superhero, just like his father. It's simple and blunt with its statement that Santito is nobler, Santito is stronger, and Santito is better, while the dastardly Rudo only has a fighting chance due to the dirty conscience of his bastard heart. The early first fall really cements this idea of Santito as the clear superior luchador, with him only getting the better of Casas, using head scissors takedowns and cartwheels into arm bars, and what little Casas is ever able to get in is always responded to in kind, and then some, by the far more competent wrestler, it seems, in Santito. It's only by what seems to be a fluke roll-up, a la magistral, that Casas is able to win the first fall, using the space created by the end of the first fall to get a cheap shot in on Santito at the start of fall 2 to swiftly put the advantage in his favor. And in the advantage, Casas always has this way of making his punches feel cheap. The strikes are close and fast down on Santito, and he has this indescribable body language about them that always makes every single one feel like a sucker punch. And he makes sure to lay them in, hitting them countless times, faking body attacks only to punch at the last minute and choking him out with the ropes. Everything about Negro Casas is rotten to the core, and you can't wait for him to simply fall on his ass, and when he does it in fantastic fashion, flinging himself high into the air and the ropes in such a satisfying and dangerous way to make Santito's comeback feel truly special. And it's a beautiful reversal of roles going into the final fall, with Casas on the back foot and Santito inflicting his karmic revenge on the Rudo. It's important to note Casas is selling here too. Not too scared to make himself look weak while simultaneously never looking cartoonish. Every drop kick knocks him silly, and every repeated bulldog that Santito hits to the audience's unanimous satisfaction completely breaks his face. The way he's able to regain control in the final fall too is simple but effective. A simple sucker punch knocking Santito out of the ring gives him the space to regain his composure whilst forcing Santito to have to re-enter the ring on his terms, and when he does so, he's able to catch him with an immediate dropkick while Santito is defenseless. Perhaps one of my favorite parts of this match, though, comes as Santito is down on the apron, desperately trying to escape the onslaught of the dastardly heel, and Casas just tears into Santito's mask relentlessly, despite the referee's not only disapproval, but flat-out interference trying to pry Casas away. Casas rips at Santito for dear life, hatred in his eyes and in his heart. And then the bombs start to fly. There's a certain heat and electricity in the air that can't be replicated as the two trade near falls. The tension in the air when Santito attempts to lock in his signature caballo that Casas scrambles to avoid like death. The karmic satisfaction when Casas attempts to dive on Santito, but at the heart of it, he's just inherently not as good as him and stumbles off the top rope only to succumb to a tope atomico. And the sheer spectacle when Santito dives through and off the top ropes onto concrete, but more importantly, onto Casas. Finishing stretches like these are typically attributed to King's Road classics, but there's something unreplicable about this one here. All wrestling can't help but pale in comparison to this moment where, despite all his underhanded and dastardly tactics, Casas finds himself out-wrestled and outmatched, desperately scrambling to escape his inevitable fate, but in the end succumbs to the pure justice delivered by Santito. And even Casas can't help but to show respect when the battle is over, raising Santito's arm in approval, and is met with mutual admiration as he accepts his fate. And as he meets the razor's edge, we know the deed has been done, and righteousness has been restored by the son of El Santo. Thank you for watching this little video about my most recent hyper fixation and special interest. Been really into old Lucha recently, especially Negro Casas, and this one I felt like I had to talk about. I might eventually make a video on their 97 Apuesta as well. But if I'm being honest, on the first watch, I think I actually preferred this one over their 97 match. But yeah, there's just a lot, like, especially since Santito's career is wrapping up soon. It's crazy that these two are still wrestling today, first of all, but there's just so much to look back into in his career, especially his match with, or one of his matches that I saw with La Parca, where they're both all in white, and they're not in white by the end of it. It's definitely an interesting watch. But yeah, I hope you like this. thanks. This is a much more smaller deal than the last one. So I do know that Robert Martyr is a very big Negro Casas fan. So if you're watching this, Robert, this one's for you. Yeah, I hope you enjoy.